So thank you for joining me here on YouTube. I'm Retro Jeff, the RetroNew Podcast. Topic number 3 on these list of topics is physical versus digital. Well, both have their strengths and weaknesses. Physical, I personally love it. I love having a piece of that time. I've said this on the podcast. Just having the box, the manual, all that stuff, grabbing it, putting it into the console itself. I'm a sucker for the authentic experience. However, there are some weaknesses there too. These stuff isn't going to last forever. Prices keep going up and up. Since they're not being made anymore, supply is going to get shorter and shorter. And just storing it, cleaning it, the room it takes, it can get expensive if you're not careful. So again, that's the biggest weaknesses of it. The strength is, again, to me, the nostalgia is just you can't replace that feeling of opening the box or grabbing the cartridge or putting in that CD, whatever it may be, and seeing the artwork. They're products of their time, just like we all are. And again, we kind of tell a story of ourselves when we talk about our nostalgia. So having that physical, thing present just adds that much more. Digital is great because you don't have to worry about the room. You don't have to worry about having 20 different systems. You don't have to worry about having hundreds of cartridges and CDs and bookshelves and my God, CRT TVs, adapters, all this stuff. So you just play on your Raspberry Pi or your computer, or the Xbox Series S is actually very good for emulation. Switch. Everybody has a Switch console with the Switch Online. You can play NES and SNES games. So digital is a good way to go too if you want to experience a game, without all this extra stuff. The weakness of digital is, of course, there might be a day that server gets shut down, or there's a time that publisher decides just to yank that game from the marketplace. I know a big problem with some of the games not being re-released digitally is because of licensing agreements of products and music and things like that happened back in the 80s and 90s that you can't just bring it forward, right? Tecmo Super Bowl. Even though there's a great online community that keeps updating that game, Tecmo itself cannot release that game as it was, back in 1990, 1991, because they no longer have the NFL license. That's with EA. So same way with the NFL Players Association. So they can't do, even in the style of the old one, they can't do it. So, I know things like Jet Moto had Mountain Dew, Sonic 3, you have the whole Michael Jackson thing. So, once you get into royalties and you start getting into the legality of things, you're going to be missing things that were there at the time. So that's one problem with digital. Another thing, and I've been watching some YouTubers discuss this, is especially with the Amico, and that's coming later again. I'll be honest, I like the idea of the Amico, but I'm not a big fan of how it's being pushed. So we'll get into that later. But the idea of having a digital code on a card that unlocks a paywall that allows you to digitally download that game. Yeah, Sony and Microsoft are doing the same thing by putting a code on a disc. You put in the disc, and what that code actually does is unlock the online store so you can download that game. Once you download it, you still download that paywall with it, which is why you need to keep reinserting the disc every time. Even though the game's downloaded, you need to reinsert the disc to play it. It's not actually reading the disc, it's just unlocking the downloadable game. Another big thing with that is, though, people need to realize is games are getting much bigger. It has pretty much outgrown Blu-ray. So you can't get an entire game on a single Blu-ray disc. Or especially with DLC coming, you probably can't even get them on 2 Blu-ray discs. So it's easier to just do it online, do an online server, give you a disc that actually contains the download code to it. Download code's probably wrong, it's a security key. And it may have some assets of the game that's going to pre-install on your system, but all intents and purposes, the main game is going to be from a server. I know a lot of people hate that. And each your own, but there's got to be a medium. You got to get these games somehow, and if they can't fit on a disc, do you really want to go back to the days where you have 4 discs, 5 discs, 6 discs, and you swapping discs in the middle of games? No, I can do this and play it seamlessly. My only gripe with that is I'm fine with it, but the games should be a lot cheaper than what they are because you're not worrying about distribution or manufacturing or box art or anything like that. It's just on a server. I think games should be cheaper, but hey, I'm an old cheapskate. So I don't mind digital. I accept it for what it is. I know a lot of collectors like to refer to themselves as preservationists. I kind of disagree. I think the only way they can be preserved is digitally. Disc rot is real. There's going to be times where I've had cartridges, NES cartridges, that just won't load anymore. I can try it in multiple systems. It's gone. It's just a useless piece of plastic. That you don't have to worry about that on digital if it's on the server. But for that to happen, Nintendo, Sega, Sony, Microsoft, all these companies, Activision, whoever needs to get together and in some way make a concerted effort to preserve these games and make them accessible so people can actually enjoy the games, which is what they're made for. So yeah, I'm not someone who badmouths digital. If I'm not above emulation. I personally like analog and hyperkin products, especially if it's emulation done right. That's a good thing. I'm against emulation products that just totally suck. But yeah, not against emulation, not against digital at all. But I'm all for physical. I just know it's not for everybody, and it can be pricey. So, it's your options, it's your wallet. Again, as I always say, keep your nostalgia yours. If it satisfies your needs, that's where you should go. Don't do it because someone else is doing it. Don't let others make the decision of your wallet. That's yours. But yeah, until then, guys, that was topic 3. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Catch us on Twitter. Catch Blue Jake over on Twitch. See what he's up to at BlueJake9. And until next time, wishing you the best of goodbyes.